You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Evan Closky.
And Ulises Sambrano is not here today. He is recovering. Yeah, recovering because of what the Rays did or didn't do against the Brewers. We're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your very first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. We've got Evan Closky from Channel 10 WTSP with us, thankfully. And breaking news, oh my gosh, just coming across the scroll here. The Rays are signing Evan Closky to a one-year contract and expect him to bat cleanup for the rest of this year.
That's
wow.
right.
Congratulations.
Hey, I can provide that cool 160 average that the squad puts up. I'd fit right in there like a glove, right? I mean,
yeah, you fit in. What is your evaluation of this debacle that the Rays have going on? At least, I mean, losing a series, getting swept in 2-game series, it is what it is. But you would think that the Rays would be able to take advantage against a team like the Brewers that were floundering since the Josh Hader trade. Of course, that hasn't happened. And I mean, we see a lot of common themes here with the Rays. I mean, how many times have they scored 3 runs or less now? Just no bueno for the Rays.
They are 11-41 when scoring 3 or less.
Mm-hmm.
And despite how much it hurts to lose a game like they did yesterday, they still only scored 3 runs. So they would have only been a 12-40 if they were able to win that game. We're talking 52 games of them scoring 3 or less. 52 games, all right? 52 games. That's how many games they've lost this season. That means they are 58-52. Nearly half the games that they played this season. Nearly half. They scored 3 or less. And the crazy part is if they just scored 4 or more, and yesterday's game to Milwaukee is a great example, because if they would have scored that 4th run, that would have been the difference maker, which they should have, with Brandon Lau and Isaac Paredes striking out, both looking with the bases loaded in the 8th inning. But their record is unbelievable. They are 47-11 when they score 4 or more runs. Like, the tipping point of this team is that 4th run. And I've never seen a squad pitch so well and just flounder like this because they can't get 4 runs consistently in a game. It sounds so easy.
Yeah. The Rays, by the way, are 23rd in baseball in runs scored and 24th in baseball in home runs. What's the solution here? Is it just wait until next year? Wait until the offseason to pick up reinforcements, allow injuries to heal, and allow young players to grow and develop? I mean, they're sort of in a wishy-washy position at this juncture.
They are who they are. They brought in a guy like David Peralta who helps a little bit. He got a nice RBI double in the game yesterday. He got robbed of a home run the day before. So, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing what you traded for. So that is helpful. But I said it, I think last week, the week before, this team needs to survive in advance. They're not going to be a playoff team by the time they get to the end of August. Most likely. That could change. But you hope to be close enough, which, by the way, is when they face a brutal stretch in September where nearly all the teams are playoff teams outside of the Red Sox, who are now kind of in a worse shape than the Rays. So you hope that when you get healthy and you get Wander and Harold Ramirez back, who might be hitting on Friday for the first time and starting to make that progression. When you get Manuel Margot back in 10 days, 9 days, whatever it might be, you start replenishing this lineup a little bit, and maybe, just maybe, the Rays start ascending at the right time. that maybe they got through, this year has been up and down, a lot of hellish offense. But if the stars can align and they can make a run at the right time, they are still a dangerous team because they can pitch. And the pitching, we can talk about Poche, but in the end, what Cash did, I understand his thought process. And people want to make it black and white that Poche shouldn't be pitching in the ninth inning. The fact of the matter is Poche pitches against the bottom of the order. And again, I mean, he had a lefty-lefty matchup when he gave up the home run to Velez too. He just has to do his job. And 9 home runs is very unlucky. I mean, that is hard to do in the 37 some odd innings that he's pitched. He's getting, if you look at like Edwin Diaz, maybe last year and the year before, he's getting a little bit of Edwin Diaz. Just the bad pitches he's making are going out of the park. So, the only adjustment I think you can make is you need to elevate Ryan Thompson and you need to demote Poche in his role. But Thompson had a tough game the first go round against the Brewers, and I don't really blame him for the 10th inning, intentional walk, and he gave up a seeing eye single. I mean, what are you going to do? It's the silly runner on second role. I mean, whatever. The Rays are not good enough to overcome bullpen mistakes because the only reason they're hovering in the wild card spot is because of their starting pitching and their bullpen. And for fair, unfair, whatever it is, I mean, there's a lot of pressure put on the arms, and it really is unfair. I feel so freaking bad that Poche has to be put in the cement next year because his team can't hit.
Now, having said that, do you put the onus partially on the front office for not doing more at the trade deadline, be it grabbing a high leverage reliever and or grabbing some sort of impact power oriented bat?
No, I don't. I'll say this, historically speaking, if there is one thing that the Rays do, it's find relief pitching somewhere.
Right.
And even if they grab the high leverage reliever, I don't think it fixes like the Poche issue. And I mean, I think he still pitches in that spot. This team, really doesn't believe in a firm closer. They believe in you face this chunk of the lineup, right? Jason Adams going to come in and you are going to face 2, 3, 4. Brooks Raley, you're going to face 2, 3, 4. Pete Fairbanks, you're going to face somewhere in the bottom. Poche, you're going to face somewhere in the bottom. And that's how we're going to just connect the dots here. And, soon we're going to see Chagua. Soon we're going to see Nick Anderson. And that's going to replace guys like Yacobonis, please. And, maybe a Sean Armstrong. They had to lose a guy like Luke Bard along the way. People are going to go up and down, and they'll find him again. So I'm not really worried about investing, in that. And in the offseason, they're going to find a couple of other gems, right? I mean, by the way, 2 of the best relief pitching signings in the offseason, I think statistically speaking, are Jason Adam and Brooks Raley. So, I mean, they nailed that. So not so much the relief pitching. The hitting, I agree with them not going full tilt. I don't, with the amount of injuries they have, it seems silly to invest in hitting when you have so many people out and they're all going to have to come in. And by the way, it's something that wasn't even a trade. One of the best additions they made was Yu Chang, and the guy's hitting with the Rays. He's going to regress at some point, but he's hitting 350 since coming to the team. Yeah,
he's had big moments. He's another one of those guys from Cleveland that works out for the Rays offensively.
Yeah, so I mean, what I will say, I'm not upset at the front office at all for the trade deadline. I think they overestimated a little bit their abilities with their bats entering the season. Now, look, it's not their fault that Zunino got injured and barely played, minus a great moment in Oakland earlier this season. But he wasn't going to hit 33 again.
Right.
I don't blame the front office for injuries to Brandon Lau and his 39 homers, but he wasn't going to hit 39 again. Austin Meadows has had just the year from hell with Detroit, also unpredictable injuries, but he was also a 27 homer guy, 100 plus ribbies, which went unreplaced, just off the roster completely. There was no plan on what that was going to be. It was Josh Lowe, which was a roll of the dice. It was an absolute roll of the dice. We think he's a 2020 guy. Aha! And nothing came up. And then it was like, whoopsies, let's sit down.
Yeah.
And that really, like, they went all in on Josh Lowe. Essentially, that's what it was. And they traded Joey Wendell, another guy who was injured, by the way, for the Marlins, but is a little toolsy bat who they can use in his freaking lineup because nobody gets hits.
And he's a veteran. I think that's the thing, too, is that be it injuries, trades, trying to save money, everything, the perfect storm of, wow, we got a whole hell of a lot of rookies that are having to play all at once.
Yeah, and you have, and this year it's becoming a gap year. It's becoming a what do we have, right? I mean, the Rays more than ever have just a monster 40-man crunch. We saw them trade a tremendous prospect for free, essentially, for again a roll of the dice in Jose Siri, who has time and time again proven he is probably the heir apparent for Kevin Kiermaier as far as like, but KK at least he gets at stretches hot at the plate. Right. Jose Siri's whiff rate is like 50% right now, if not more. I don't like the guy.
You thought Brett Phillips was bad? Meet Jose Siri.
Exactly. So, I mean, they hope that some of those AAA numbers that they've seen in the past, I mean, certainly the hard contact rate is there when he touches the baseball, but he's got to touch the baseball.
Yeah.
So, that's now they're going to evaluate him for the rest of the year. And I don't hate that move necessarily because, that's what they kind of have to do. I mean, that's the Rays in a nutshell. And more often than not, it works out. But I said it before the year, we can run the tape, and I'll say it again. Who the heck on this team is the go-to hitter that you can go to consistently and say, I believe that they can step up and mash one. This is who I want up. This is who I want up. It's Randy is maybe it. And Randy also is up and down. I mean, Randy, when Randy's cold, he's cold, but he's been steady Eddie this season as far as his stats are concerned. He's pretty much going to hit exactly what we expected entering the year. He's probably going to land close to 20 home runs. He's got 20 steals. He'll hit around.
That's what he is. Yeah.
He's not,
which isn't bad. I mean, it is what it is, but I think that people are still trying to live off the aura of what he did in the 2020 postseason, that he's going to come to save the day. And I think regression to the mean, things settling out. And again, he's still a very, very quality player, but don't expect more than 260 to 270 batting average and 20 to 24 home runs from Randy. Don't expect 40-40 from Randy. I'm just saying.
Exactly. Like, I love Randy. I think Randy does his job well. It's the fact that because nobody else is producing offensively, all eyes go to Randy to do more than what he should be doing. And the fact is, Randy is doing his job. Yeah. Randy is doing what he should be doing. It's on other people to step up. And again, it's just a bunch of rolling the dice. And, look, Brandon Lau, since he's come back, he looked awful in Milwaukee, but if we ignore that, he's been phenomenal since return. He's selling out less for power. He's hitting for contact, which is something the team needs. I think Isaac Paredes, outside of 2 weeks of just annihilating baseballs, he has regressed to the issues he had in Detroit. I mean, what is he? He's, I think, like 21 for his last 107 or something, or 109. I mean,
you opposing teams build up a book on a guy and figure out, okay, where's his weak spots and his weak points, and that's what happens, especially with young players like that. And you got to adjust. It's a game of adjustments for sure. And the other thing too is, yes, it is good in a sense of the Rays have so many injured players and they should be back eventually, but we can't expect everybody to be Brandon Lau, that when they get back, they're immediately going to hit 350 right out of the gate. Like, some of these guys it might take a couple weeks, or they might never figure that out when they get back, pitching wise or hitting wise. And it may be a case of too little, too late. Of like, hey, Wander Franco, he's really starting to come on. Manny Margot really starting to come on. Ex-player, really starting to come on. And then before you know it, it's like, oh, it's October and we missed the playoffs.
I mean, I'm just more surprised that like there should be a little bit more offensive tinkering. Like we always see in the relief pitching. I know that I annoyingly beat the drum on Aranda, but like, come on, like the team, like, can you not trade Aranda for Luke Raley right now? Like, can you not like just give it a shot?
Right. That's a tough one. I mean, my counter argument would be, I mean, do the Rays really want to roster another rookie? But Luke Raley is pretty much a rookie, no? So, yeah.
I mean, you just got to try. My point is like, you have to see what sticks, right? Like Yu Chang right now is sticking, and I'd throw him out there. Like, screw it. I mean, they're like an off-brand Mets right now of like they're trying to platoon, but the platoons aren't working. You know,
right.
Like the Mets are fully entrenched in platoon baseball, which to me it's. And look, Steve Cohen came in. Richest owner probably in the game, invested heavily in the analytics department, and seeing that now as another club where you can kind of signal to what the future is going to be, right? Like we see from this front office them investing heavily in speed. Why? Because soon the pickoff rules are going to change at the Major League Baseball level, and teams are going to steal like their tic tacs on second base, and so the Rays are ahead of it right now and are going to invest crazy into speed, and they're going to be swiping bags left and right. Mm-hmm. So those are some signals. Like, I wish that the Rays maybe enter this offseason and go full on, we're playing platoon baseball outside of maybe, Siri and Walls. I'm okay keeping defensively, but everybody else needs to hit the ball, because you can't. Yeah. At least those two provide defense at key positions, which over a large sample size help you throughout the season. The other positions, not so much. I mean,
and throw Wander in the mix too, but he's not on the field right now. So.
Yeah, I mean it's a debate we can have in the offseason is if Wander should move to maybe like a third base, or a second base, or should Walls just move over to second and be as good there as he is a shortstop, because he finally is settled in. And
right. Oh, I think that was huge for him. I mean, it sort of, you never want to wish injury on another player, but Taylor Walls was probably like, okay, this is where I can really showcase my ability and settle in at shortstop, the position I've really only known my entire life, as opposed to moving around between short, second, and third haphazardly. Like, now that he's been able to play short for as many weeks in a row as he has, you kind of see the ability there. Now, I asked this question a week or two ago, and I'm going to posit it again. Confidence level, 1 to 10, 10 being the highest or most confident of the Rays making the playoffs as of this recording.
I forgot what I say. 7 last week.
Yeah, I believe 7. 6. And I think you gave the Orioles a 2.
I did, and they really mushed them, didn't I? I really pissed them off. I'll go 6.
Okay.
It's very easy to switch it around and go Orioles 7 and Rays 2 and be caught up in the moment. But like, what happens if the Rays sweep the Orioles? Completely, like all of a sudden, just everything we thought of both teams flips in 3 games. So, I think really that question after the Orioles series is important because it's a monumental series. It will most likely dictate where the two teams sit in the wild card race. Best case scenario, obviously, or the most lukewarm scenario is, one team wins 2 times, the other team wins 1. And you have just 1 game exchanging, but it's I don't know. There's a little bit of 2021 Rays in the Orioles right now.
Right,
a team playing way above its head, and playing way above its head in clutch moments. Mm-hmm. If you look at their numbers, like their hitting numbers, it's nothing that like stands out. They're not like a team that homers a bunch and walks a bunch. Like, they don't really walk. They strike out a bunch. They don't really homer an extraordinary amount. There's only 2 guys on the team that really steal bases. They traded away one of their best hitters. They traded away their closer. So eventually the house of cards, rationally speaking, you would think are going to cave in a little bit. But they have this unbelievable knack to turn it on when it's supposed to and get it done in the clutch moments. And that was the 2021 Rays. Was just, I mean, them and the Red Sox come from behind victory night after night. I mean, the Rays, it was like the game started in the 7th inning, and that's when they scored like 7 runs. It was an unbelievable thing to watch, and that's what the Orioles are doing. And there's no, like, there's at least the Rays last year had like 222 home runs, whatever it was. I don't know, this, like last year, all the magic that the Rays had, it feels like it's all gone this year. And not like, like beyond like some of the career years that some players had. I don't know if any team has had like worse luck. Like, how many times have we seen another team make just like this unreal grab or rob the guy of a home run or, you know, base hit and like, you know, thrown out at the plate from a perfect throw? I mean, look, they're not the best base running. They're the worst base running team in the league by far. All right. And part of that is their fault. Most of it is their fault. But a lot of it also is them testing the other team and daring them to make the play. And in the past, maybe half of those times you're safe. And this year it just feels like every single time they push it, they get nothing. I mean, Rowdy Tellez, perfect throw over to third yesterday on the ground ball by Taylor Walls. And Kevin Cash said, like, I want Mejia. Mejia broke off immediately on the throw, on the batted ball. You knew he was going to pull it, and Rowdy made a better play. And I just feel like we've been down that road so many times with this team where it's like, fudge, are you going to screw up? Like, I mean, like how tough do we have to earn every win?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to give my confidence level. I mean, I'm right at about a 4-5 right now, just because
the schedule concerns me the most.
The schedule's a big factor, and the fact that there's 3 wild cards, but there's like 8 teams fighting for those 3 wild card spots. I mean, Baltimore legitimately can make a case. Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago, Boston, and of course you have Seattle and Toronto that'll probably take those top 2 spots. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams really fighting for that final 3rd spot in the wild card. So that's where, like, hey, Manny Margot, when you get back projected August 20th, you really need to help us out immediately. It's a case like that, pretty much. So before we end here, I do want to have a little fun trivia question and just kind of a little background. Evan, did you happen to listen to any of the episodes of this week on Locked On Rays?
Did not.
Okay, thank you. Good. Me neither. But that does not ruin this trivia question. So I'll preface the trivia question with this. Who do you think is more, or who would you bet would be more likely to win an MVP in 2023? Wander Franco or Brandon Lau?
Wander Franco.
Why?
Because his ceiling's just higher.
Okay.
He does more. I think when you factor in fielding, hitting, stolen bases, a 5-tool player across the board, his style of play is way more electric, and I feel like Brandon is a bit two-dimensional.
Okay, that's fair. Follow up to that, do you think Wander Franco in 2023 will eclipse 20 or more home runs?
No.
Okay. That makes winning an MVP extremely, extremely difficult, which brings me to my trivia question. Since 1986, there have been only 3 players that have won an MVP hitting fewer than 20 home runs in a season. And I'm discounting the 2020 year because of it only being 60 games. And of course, we can eliminate pitchers as well. So position players. No. It's not a trick question. So position players to hit fewer than 20 home runs in a season, yet still win an American League or National League MVP. 3 names, which tells you how Wander Franco, and he is that type of player that could probably hit 340, 350, 18 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and squeak his way into an MVP. But my point is it's extremely, extremely rare and difficult.
So guess the 3 names. Is that it?
If you can guess one of them, I'll be happy.
Is it Gwynn?
No.
Man, I thought that was going to be a slam dunk.
Strike one.
Jeez. And I mean, so and these were only AL, or is this both?
No. This is everybody.
Everybody. Holy.
Which makes it such a difficult feat.
Oh man.
Now, I will say there's been, guys that have hit 21 and 24 home runs here and there, but fewer than 20. It's tough.
Oh, man.
Need one name.
What's the most recent?
The most recent in
year.
I wouldn't say several because there's only 3 names, but 2 of these names you've definitely watched. One was in 2008. I'm really giving it away here. One was in 2008 and one was in 2001. Both American League.
Oh, Ichiro
Suzuki in 2001. 350 batting average and 8 homers. 7.7 WAR, by the way, that year.
Yeah, 01. That is a dead giveaway.
Do you want to try to guess the other?
Oh, God. 08. 08. It's kind of like. Man, I'm trying. I think the Mets collapsed in 08.
Yeah, but this would be American.
Well, this would. The Yankees sucked that year. So who would have been? Yeah, just let me know.
Okay, Dustin Pedroia.
Wow, I was thinking Boston. I was thinking David Ortiz would have been it.
Yeah, well, David Ortiz, if he won an MVP, it'd probably have 40.
Yeah, exactly.
45,
that's why I skipped over Boston, and I was like, I don't even know.
Yeah, but this is I could see a line like this from Wander: 326 batting average, 376 on base, 493 slug, 17 homers, 83 RBI, 20 stolen bases. That seems like a pretty solid Wander Franco.
Agreed.
Number there. And then the third guy, you got to go all the way back to 1995. And that was Barry Larkin, who had 15 home runs, 319 batting average, 51 stolen bases.
That is a great question. That is a great question.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's why I said 1986, because if you go like 1985, 1984, then you kind of run into.
It's kind of.
Yeah. But you're running into more of the. I mean, even it's still rare even then, but you run into the Ryan Sandbergs and the Terry Pendletons and guys of that ilk as well. Thurman Munson, for example. But it's not many guys. I mean, you really have to hit at least 30 home runs. At least to be in the MVP conversation. So that's my point there. Evan, anything you'd like to promote or share before we get off the line here?
No, mostly, head to 10tampabay.com. We have, obviously, we're talking Rays. Brett Phillips comes back to the Trop tomorrow. So, we're hoping to be there and say hello to Brett as, see how we see his Car Shield commercials all the time still in a Rays uniform. It's hilarious. But also every day, we're talking about Buccaneers training camp, and they have another practice today. They'll play a Ray J on Saturday, and we're keeping you informed because I understand the dog days of training camp. It's tough to be locked in every single day, which is why you got to be locked on Rays and Bucks. So, just head over to 10tampabay.com, at Closky, WTSP on Twitter. Also, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and, say what up.
All the good stuff.
Hit me up. I'll respond.
Yeah, just try not to be mean or hurtful with your comments there.
Yeah, if you're a jerk, then I won't.
Yeah. Thank you for making the Locked On Rays podcast your very first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB Prospects podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you on Friday.